Hello and good evening. Thanks for joining us. You're watching News at 10. I'm Shuhaida Arifin. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob has reminded disaster management committees at the federal and state levels to intensify efforts to rescue flood victims and extend aid to them. In a post on his Facebook today, he said it was also important for district disaster management committees to step up their disaster response efforts with the assistance of the state-level committee. The Prime Minister said he had directed the Environment and Water Ministry KASA to put into operation 21 portable pumps in the badly hit Taman Sri Muda in Klang to drain out stagnant flood waters into Sungai Klang since 2:30 a.m. today. Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said he had been briefed on the latest flood situation in Kelantan, Terengganu, Pahang, Perak, Kuala Lumpur, Negeri Sembilan, Melaka and Selangor by the relevant Menteri Besar, Chief Minister, Ministries and State Disaster Management Committees. Apart from management of flood relief centres (PPS), he also stressed the importance of flood recovery operations to help victims in affected areas, including repairs to infrastructures. Meanwhile, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri has asked the authorities concerned to speed up the payment of RM1,000 aid to families affected by the devastating floods in several states. He said the matter was raised when he chaired a special meeting with Menteri Besar of flood-hit states this morning, which also discussed efforts to focus on post-flood operations. The Premier also wants the cleaning up operation in the affected areas to be speeded up to facilitate the return of victims to their homes. He said the district office could allow victims to return home if floodwaters were receding and the affected areas were deemed safe. Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said his department would be coordinating with agencies such as the Fire and Rescue Department, Police, Military and District Councils in implementing the clean-up operations.
Saya nampak tadi ada yang membersih sendiri rumah tu. Mungkin mereka dah tak tahan duduk dekat PPS. Duduk kat sini 7 orang satu cubicle, kemah kubik tadi. 7 orang. Jadi tentu saja mereka nak balik segera tu. Jadi saya harap DO benarkan dia orang balik dan sebelum yang lain-lain sampai agensi mungkin cuci sendiri dulu pun kita benarkan kalau kawasan itu dah selamat.
The Premier was speaking after visiting a BPS in Jelebu, Negeri Sembilan today. On non-governmental organisations, NGOs, he said they were welcome to help in the clean-up process. He also said that the government welcomed the efforts by several NGOs helping flood evacuees cleaning their homes, but asked them to notify the local authorities first. 20 high-tech drones are ready to be activated for the purpose of delivering essential supply and conducting surveillance in flood-affected areas. Science, Technology and Innovation Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Adham Baber said each drones have the capabilities of carrying up to 10 kilograms of load per trip, if allowed by the Malaysian Civil Aviation Authority. According to the Minister's Special Emergency Drone Services Action Team, PTK2 drone was established by the Ministry in collaboration with Technology Park Malaysia, TPM, which acts as the coordinating agency.
Jadi dengan ada kerjasama dengan pihak berkuasa penerbangan awam Malaysia dan juga Majlis Keselamatan Negara dengan keizinan bukan sahaja kita dapat memulakan dengan segera, tapi kita dapat bantu lebih banyak cerapan-cerapan seperti gambar ni kan daripada area di mana boleh dihantar maklumat kepada pihak berkuasa yang menjalankan tugas. Jadi maklumat tersebutlah kita hantar kepada pasukan bantuan yang perlu dilaksanakan dengan segeralah, termasuk bantuan menyuraikan trafik, bantuan untuk menghantar bot-bot penyelamat dan juga bantuan berkaitan dengan bekalan makanan. Itu yang kita berikan sumbangan kepada pengurusan krisis banjir lah.
Datuk Seri Dr. Adham also said that the ministry has also enlisted the help of Malaysia Space Agency to provide 24-hour satellite feed of the areas hit by flood nationwide. Satellite images showed about 60% of water receding in Selangor compared to last Saturday. However, the images also showed that the condition in Pahang is worsening as more areas are affected by flood. Selangor Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Amiruddin Syahri has confirmed that the number of deaths due to floods in Selangor has increased to 17 people, including a volunteer. Explaining further, he said as of 8 a.m. today, Klang had the most deaths at 10, followed by 4 in Sepang and 3 in Hulu Langat.
Daripada ke-17 kita sedang mengenal pasti punca kematian. Ada disebabkan kematian bukanlah disebabkan oleh kejadian banjir pesing. Mungkin kejadian daripada meninggal akibat kekurangan ubat dan sebagainya. Itu akan diputuskan ataupun akan dimuktamadkan dalam masa terdekat. Justru bagi pihak pentadbiran kerajaan negeri, saya ingin mengucapkan takziah kepada semua mangsa dan khususnya kepada keluarga-keluarga yang kehilangan mereka yang tersayang.
Speaking to the volunteers who wish to help flood victims or donate funds for the flood relief, Datuk Seri Amiruddin pleaded for a coordination of resources by all interested parties who should contact the relevant authorities that are responsible for flood relief efforts in a particular area. Datuk Seri Amiruddin also stated that to date, some 30,632 victims from 4,670 families are seeking shelter in 203 temporary evacuation centres in the state. The Menteri Besar also announced a 10,000 ringgit aid for each household affected from the state government. Unforeseen weather factors in determining forecasts is part of the challenges endured by the Malaysian Meteorological Department, Met Malaysia. Its Director General Muhammad Hilmi Abdullah said the factors, along with the high expectation from the society, especially during these challenging times, the role of the department has becoming more demanding. According to Muhammad Hilmi, Met Malaysia always keep on updating recent data and ensuring the info management system organised efficiently. Asked on the second wave of heavy downpour and possibilities of flood incident, he said so far Met Malaysia has yet to receive any preliminary warning, but stressed that they are monitoring the situation.
Tapi kali ini situasinya agak berbeza lah sebab tak ada luruan monsun yang kita jangka berinteraksi dengan lekukan tropika semua. Jadi impaknya tidak sebesar seperti yang kita alami pada hari Sabtu lepas lah. Jangkaan kita pada hari ini dan kita akan kemaskini lah sekiranya ada data-data baru yang masuk sebab untuk buat ramalan ni kita bergantung kepada maklumat-maklumat yang kita terima. Pihak kami akan memaskini sebaik saja ada informasi atau maklumat lain berkenaan dengan pergerakan lekukan tropika di sekitar utara Sumatera itulah.
Speaking exclusively to RTM, Muhammad Hilmi also advised members of the public to verify any news received, especially updates on weather conditions, to avoid them from being panicked over untrue speculations. A trailer lorry driver was charged in the Shah Alam Magistrates Court today with 10 counts of driving in a reckless or dangerous manner that resulted in the death of 10 individuals along the Elite Expressway last Saturday. Muhammad Rafi Jaafar, 37, however, pleaded not guilty after the charges were read out to him separately by a court interpreter before Magistrate Nur Faiza Abdul Sani. He was charged with driving a trailer lorry in a dangerous manner at kilometre 8.3 of the Elite Expressway Shah Alam bound in Subang Jaya, Petaling at 12:02 a.m. The charges were framed under Section 41, Subsection 1 of the Road Transport Act 1987, which carries a jail term of up to 10 years and a fine not exceeding 20,000 ringgit upon conviction. The court set bail at 1,000 ringgit for each charge and ordered the accused to report to the nearest police station once a month and fixed 26 January 2022 for mention. Coming up, World Bank expects Malaysian economy to grow 5.8% next year. The government has decided to increase the National Trust Fund KWAN allocation to 6 billion ringgit from 5 billion ringgit previously to ensure a sufficient supply of vaccines, including booster doses, for not only the adult population but also teenagers. Finance Minister Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul Tunku Abdul Aziz said, based on the current assessment, it is critical for everyone to be given a booster dose, especially with the emergence of the Omicron variant.
Penambahan ini pastinya untuk memastikan bekalan vaksin mencukupi, termasuk dos penggalak yang bukan sahaja untuk penduduk dewasa tetapi juga golongan remaja. Bagi menjamin kesejahteraan rakyat, kerajaan akan bertindak secara proaktif dan terus memantau keadaan dari masa ke semasa.
The minister said this during his winding up speech for the Supply Bill 2022 Budget 2022 in the Dewan Negara today. Economic recovery in Malaysia is expected to gain momentum in 2022, with the World Bank projecting the economy to grow by 5.8%, mainly driven by an acceleration in private consumption. The global institution said exports are projected to continue to expand, albeit at a slower pace, in line with the expected moderation in global trade growth and anticipation that it is to be broad-based, with recovery across all economic sectors. According to the latest World Bank Malaysia Economic Monitor report titled Staying Afloat, launched today, the forecast for the year ahead follows growth estimates of 3.3% in 2021, which remains clouded by several downside risks, including new COVID-19 outbreaks and weaker than expected global and regional growth. The World Bank noted that limited fiscal space remains a key challenge, whereby the federal government revenue, which has been declining since 2013, is projected to reach 14.3% of gross domestic product GDP in 2022. The report also said that rigid operating expenditures, namely emoluments, retirement charges, and debt service payments, have grown markedly over time and are expected to take up 2/3 of federal government revenue next year, increasing fiscal rigidity and crowding out discretionary spending. The pandemic has further constrained Malaysia's already limited fiscal space. The government revenue is expected to decline, while rigid expenditures remain high. Therefore, the government has been urged to accelerate efforts to rebuild fiscal buffers by collecting more and spending better. The World Bank has called on the government to continue its existing income relief measures to target groups for at least another 6 months to maintain financial support for the poor and vulnerable group in the near term. Senior economist on poverty and equity, Dr. Ririn Salwa Purnamasari, said there is an ongoing need to provide support to a broad range of households, particularly low-income and vulnerable households, through cash assistance transfer at least until economic growth, job creation and wage growth resume. Speaking during the launch of Malaysia Economic Monitor December 2021 edition, Staying Afloat today, she said the cash assistance can be focused more narrowly on the chronically poor. She also said the targeted wage subsidies must be introduced, including for youth and women who traditionally suffer from difficulties in entering the labour market. As the economy and employment recover, Dr. Ririn Salwa then suggested for resources to be directed to those who may continue to need support to obtain a job and who may not benefit from the existing wage subsidy program. The senior economist also said a pilot and social insurance evaluation measures also needed to be carried out, whereby Malaysia could learn from the experience of the other countries on pilot initiatives to increase the coverage and adequacy of social insurance programs among informally employed workers. A wake-up call. That is how Badminton Association of Malaysia, BAM President Tan Sri Muhammad Norza Zakaria describes Singaporean badminton singles player Loh Kian Yu's win in the 2021 Badminton World Championships in Huelva, Spain. He, however, said the win should be looked at from a positive angle while describing Malaysia as unlucky in the tournament. Tan Sri Norza said it was unfortunate for Malaysia when it lost the golden opportunity to win the world champion title when national number 1 Lee Zijas retired in the men's single quarterfinals because of a blister on his right foot. He said the coaching and training CNT committee, chaired by BAM Secretary General Dato' Kenny Goh, has a heavy task after this to identify the weaknesses that need to be rectified quickly for the 2022 season. Overall, Tan Sri Norza said he was satisfied with the achievement of the players throughout 2021. However, he said the competition this season had highlighted some things that needed to be given serious attention by the CNT, especially from the aspect of relying on the same players as Zijia, men's doubles Ernja Sohuyik, Pelitan Mtina, and Hu Pangron Chia Yi Si. Kian Yu is ranked 22 in the world when he won the world title, defeating India's K. Srikanth 21-15, 22-20 in the final at the Palacio de los Deportes Carolina Marin yesterday. It saw Kian Yu become the first Singaporean player to win the title. The Football Association of Malaysia, FAM, says it takes full responsibility for the failure of Harimau Malaya to qualify for the semi-finals of the Asian Football Federation Cup AFF 2020 in Singapore. In a statement, FAM said its president, Datuk Hamidin Muhammad Amin, had instructed the national squad management to submit a complete report on the team's performance throughout the championship campaign to the management committee soon. According to the statement, FAM Secretary General Muhammad Saifuddin Abu Bakar said the report will be studied by the National Team Management Committee before it is tabled to the FAM Executive Committee. Shocking news for Tottenham Hotspur fans. The club is officially knocked out of the Europa Conference League. UEFA on Monday said the English club must forfeit their final group game against Rennes following the cancellation of the match due to a COVID-19 outbreak at the London side. UEFA said the match would go down as a 3-0 defeat for Spurs, making them finish third in the group. Spurs were vying with Vitesse Arnhem to finish second in Group G and secure a spot in the playoff round, but remained third on 7 points after the forfeiture, while Rennes advanced as group winners with 14 points. The match was called off a day before the fixture after Spurs manager Antonio Conte said 8 players and 5 members of staff had tested positive for COVID-19. Rennes later criticised that decision, saying it was taken unilaterally by Spurs and that they reserved the right to appeal to UEFA. UEFA had said earlier that the game would not be played as it was unable to find a viable solution to reschedule Thursday match in London. Spurs had 3 games called off in all competitions due to the outbreak and only played their first match since 5th December on Sunday when they drew 2-2 with Liverpool in the Premier League. Vitesse will play Rapid Vienna in the knockout round. Alright, so that concludes this evening's news at 10. In our top story, disaster management committees urged to intensify relief efforts. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. I'm Shuhaida Arifin. Stay tuned to Saluran Berita RTM and have a pleasant evening.